Cheyney University of Pennsylvania Succeeding in College Series. Today's topic will focus on effective communication. This content was adapted from a document created by the Louisiana State University's Center for Academic Success titled Steps to Effective Communication. Communication may be the single most important skill for a student to master. It is one of the primary causes of interpersonal conflicts, leadership anxiety, and business failure. It is a skill to be mastered, and regardless of how natural some may be at it, all of us have room to improve. Carl Mays, in his book, Are We Communicating Yet?, identifies 5 steps to effective communication. The first step is to clarify your ideas. Ask yourself, what specifically do you want the person or group to receive? Do you have a firm grasp of your primary idea, concept, or message? People often spend more time beating around the bush than getting to the core of what needs to be communicated. The second step is to acknowledge the feelings of others. Everyone has needs, wants, objectives, and resources. When you relate to people in an acceptable way, you build credibility and trust. This helps create open, positive dialogue. Be yourself, but speak from the perspective and competency level of the receiver. Step number 3 is to be honest. While using tact and good manners, make sure you are also honest. If you are not honest, integrity is lost. Communication is destroyed. Be compassionate in your truthfulness. Often, the manner in which you say something is more important than what you say. The fourth step is to watch your body language. The experts say that 75 to 95% of communication is nonverbal. People respect and respond to good eye contact, smiles, cordial voice tones, good posture, enthusiasm, and well-placed humor. Even though you are told, don't judge a book by its cover, people do judge you by your appearance. The fifth step is to practice active listening. The greatest communicators are not necessarily the greatest speakers. More often than not, however, they are the greatest listeners. Active listening is an absolute necessity for good communication. If there is no receiver, then the sender is wasting his or her time. There are at least 10 barriers to active listening that you need to be familiar with. Barrier number 1. You are concentrating on what you are going to say when the other person finishes talking rather than concentrating upon what the person is saying. Barrier 2. You become an identifier. If the person is talking about his or her problem, you think about one of your own problems. If the subject is a project, you think about your own projects. Barrier number 3. Your main concern is how the speaker perceives you. You wonder what he or she thinks about the way you look and the way you present yourself. Barrier number 4. You are easily distracted. Your attention is quickly diverted by extraneous sounds, sights, or activities. Barrier number 5. You filter what the other person is saying. Some people refer to this as selective listening, which is listening only to what you want to listen to and simply ignoring the rest of the message. Barrier number 6. You become defensive because you feel that what the speaker is saying reflects unfavorably upon you. You become defensive. Since you feel threatened, your listening is filtered with that perspective. Barrier 7. You have already made up your mind and you are not going to allow facts or rational thinking to confuse the matter. Barrier 8. You drift off into another world while the person is talking. Embarrassingly, this can lead to your sudden coming back to the present and asking, "I'm sorry, what did you just say?" Barrier 9. You spend your time assessing the messenger instead of the message. You concentrate mainly on such things as appearance, demeanor, vocal quality, accent, etc. And barrier 10. You assume you know more about the subject than the speaker does. Thus, you disregard any new information or perspective the speaker might offer. Now that you know what the barriers are, let's see what it takes to be an active listener. The first thing you should do is to establish the proper atmosphere and attitude. Make sure you are ready to receive and respond, whether it is in person or on the phone. Start listening with the first word that is said. How many times has this happened to you? You start a conversation by introducing yourself, and then halfway through the conversation the person asks, "Now what did you say your name is again?" Concentrate on the communicator and turn off your own concerns. Think about what is relevant to this conversation and to this individual. Discipline yourself to resist outside distractions. Focus on the big picture rather than trying to remember every single word. Cut to the very essence of the individual's wants and needs. Respond to the issues and don't be distracted by such thing as a grating voice, poor grammar, or ineffective expression. Remember, you can't talk and listen at the same time, so don't interrupt. Use vehicles such as "I see" and "yes" to help carry the conversation along and to show that you're listening. Ask questions to help draw out the conversation, and if you feel you don't understand something, get it cleared up before it results in an embarrassing and perhaps costly mistake later on. And summarize what you understand has been agreed upon. Highlight the key issues to make sure that you and the communicator are on the same page. Becoming an effective communicator takes time. However, if you follow the 5 steps outlined in this talk for becoming an effective communicator, you practice active listening, and you become intimately familiar with the barriers that interfere with communication, you are well on your way. To learn more about how to become an effective communicator, please refer to the additional resources at the end of this presentation. Thank you, and happy communicating.